everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today we'll be discussing the topic of revolutionizing the digital transformation office, leveraging OnePlan's AI and strategic portfolio management. If you enjoy the topic, please explore our channel for more and keep an eye out for new webinars coming soon. I hope you gain some insights from this webinar and feel excited about the new developments happening in the industry and here at OnePlan. Thank you again, and I'll now turn the presentation over to Jim.
Thanks for spending some time with us today. Today's topic, and the ongoing theme of project and portfolio management, and specifically strategic portfolio management that's augmented with AI. Today we're going to talk about those concepts specifically as they apply to a digital transformation office and digital transformation programs within organizations. So with that, let's get started. So let's talk about some of the current landscape that drives why this is a topic that needs to be discussed today. One is, as we probably all know, rapid and disruptive changes in technology and in the marketplace itself is driving the need for extensive digital transformations and enterprise transformation efforts in today's organizations. The ever-increasing pace of these changes and the environmental turbulence it causes, is creating great strain, in many cases unsustainable strain for organizations today. And many large digital transformations today continue to fail. And industry experts like the Gartner Group say that it is largely due to avoidable causes, that things that we could do differently to help mitigate that and to help drive more success. And one of those things is that recommends by the analysts, in particular Gartner, that executive leaders need to form a separate transformation program office to align and orchestrate the execution of this program across the multiple work streams that have to happen, many of them, and the digital information silos that exist within the organizations. This in and of itself will help to ensure better success for digital transformation programs themselves. Why are we doing this in the first place? Yes, there is change, but what do digital transformation programs bring to us? Well, one, it's competitive advantage. We don't want to get caught asleep at the wheel. Organizations must innovate. They must move forward or die. And digital transformation enables companies to leverage technology to create a number of things: new products, new services, new business models, new ways to access their customers, giving them a competitive edge over their traditional competitors, and even help stave off new market entrants as this digital age occurs and market entry becomes easier. Improved efficiency and productivity. If we can use digital technologies and automate processes that are currently manual and personality independent, and streamline our workflows and eliminate inefficiencies and those types of things, we can realize productivity and cost savings and competitive edge once again. We can do things faster, we can respond things more quickly and achieve better results quicker. And then there's that enhanced customer experience, that we are in the age of the customer. The customer rules, and companies can better understand and engage with their customers, through things like better data analytics, more personalized marketing and communication, and tailoring experiences for different audiences will help drive loyalty and help drive acquisition of customers through that process as well. And then there's business agility. This digital age is really bringing about more agile approaches to doing things. And we want to do this because we want to respond quickly. We want to respond to changing market dynamics and customer demands and competitive pressures. And adopting not only the methodologies, but the appropriate tools to make that happen in technologies, we can adapt our strategies, our products, our operations more quickly. And the goal here is to remain, definitely competitive advantaged, but just even remain relevant and resilient so that we are still leaders when when the dust settles. And then data-driven decision-making becoming paramount in organizations. And these types of transformations provide access to vast amount of data and also new ways to analyze that data so we can get insights into customer behavior and market trends and other business performance so that we can make more informed decisions. And we want to be able to identify opportunities and identify risks and mitigate them while we still have a chance to have an impact, basically becoming more effective. And then now we're getting down to some of the things here that we're going to talk about today as well. These digital transformation programs start to foster a culture of innovation within organizations. We start having to because of necessity, and we encourage experimentation, creativity, and continuous improvement. We're constantly trying to move the ball forward and not stagnate. Companies can unlock new revenue streams, enter new markets, and drive sustainable growth here. So basically, we can grow through this as well. And just operational resilience, by diversifying our revenue streams and reducing dependency on some manual processes and strengthening our cybersecurity measures, we can ensure continuity can survive threats and disruptions on a number of different fronts as we go through it and better insulate us from those types of things. So just some things, this is not by any means exhaustive, but some of the more high profile impacts of digital transformation. So then, if we're going to institute a transformation program office, and many of you on this today may already be part of one, but the Gartner Group defines a program office in and of itself as a temporary organization and entity linked to a specific program. Now, while a transformation program is lengthy and far-reaching and goes into many different parts of an organization, it does have a specific effort in mind that's temporary. It's not ongoing, not to be meant forever. And unlike the PMO and unlike EPMO and PMO functions, this program office would exist to provide support, enablement services, and work products to the program executive sponsor, the program manager, and other program management and staff. The idea is to deliver on those types of things. And these program offices and the program managers within them must deal with the big picture transformation and focus on the most important part of this program, getting success and results. That is their focus, how to drive that. And this program manager focuses on critical transformation activities like managing the evolving transformation goals, communicating frequently with stakeholders and other relevant folks in the organization, and also mitigating risk proactively as they get on our radar. Now, transformation programs typically have numerous operational and technical areas that require coordination. These are far-reaching, they go horizontally all the way across the organization. And the program office centralizes the management of these key functions to engage and enable communication between the various projects and work streams and people involved in those things within the program. But it also ensures that the span of control that they're leveraging there is only the objective of the transformation, and not trying to duplicate or do things that the PMO is chartered to do within the organization. So if the Gartner Group, the way they depict this is that the program office really brings these puzzle pieces together. We have a digital strategy on the outside. We have digital capabilities that we desire to get to have, and then we drive to the outcomes that we want there. But the puzzle pieces is bringing together the digital transformation effort itself, the overall program management across the different work streams and components of that, and then aligning operationally throughout in order to make this come together in a way that we want at the end of the day. And this program office has a number of different functional things it needs to do. There's the governance and management of it. There's the resource and the environment itself. Because we're putting new technologies in place and partnering with different vendors, vendor management and procurement becomes important as we transition to different products and services. Quality, risk, and control, planning and communication, these are all things that have to happen in order to successfully drive the outcomes the way we want. And if we take this another layer down the onion, there is the different things that they do in here, in governance, and in resource and environment, as far as resource capacity planning and methods, and making sure that we get the right resources in the right places. And over on the planning and communication side of things, just make sure we have integrated planning across the entire strategic planning framework. Are we going to meet the strategy, and do we have a good plan to tackle all of that and deliver on all fronts? And basically manage the change across all that and be able to track progress and benefits and redirect as needed in order to succeed. Now, this program office, is designed to align with the activities of the PMO, but it's really just a subset of what the PMO has its eyes on in its charter across all different types of projects and programs within an organization. And it really makes sure that it meets the needs of the whole transformation program and keeps the eye on the ball and makes sure that all the components are being addressed, and also that all the different participants in this thing are aligned with one another. So what are some common challenges that face the transformation program office? Well, resistance to change. Human nature, makes that a a component of any major effort or of transformation within an organization. And it requires an effective change management strategy. We clearly communicate and have stakeholder engagement. Our job is to foster buy-in and support for the transformation initiative, because it's so critical to the future of our companies and our organizations. The technology pieces, many of us have legacy systems and infrastructure that maybe run counter or maybe are barriers to us reaching that digitally transformed state that we're looking for. And we have to figure out ways and actually to overcome that technical debt and bring in the new wave. The skills and the talent gap, as we go into new technologies and digitally transform, we may have a gap or a shortage of the skills that we need in order to succeed to move this transformation forward and then maintain it and grow it as it goes through. And the resource constraints themselves. We are, in many organizations, running very lean today, and we have to prioritize our investments. We have to allocate resources strategically to things like transformation and be able to demonstrate a return on investment and value delivered so that we can continue to get support from senior leadership and stakeholders and make sure that we're putting people on the right things and focusing on the right things. Cybersecurity risk, as we get more digitally transformed, we are more data cloud driven, and cybersecurity measures become even more paramount, and organizations are becoming more stringent in making sure that we have these protocols in place. And then just the data management and governance, as you deal with things like GDPR and other data and compliance types of things that we have out there, we have to face those challenges and make sure that we are up to par, that we meet the standards, and that we can deliver within the context of those regulatory constraints that might be in place. Now, from a solution perspective that we're going to talk about today, organization silos and collaboration. The lack of collaboration between departments and the lack of communication and alignment there can hinder the integration and alignment of a digital transformation effort. If we all have different perceptions and we're all acting in a fragmented way, it's tough to come to the end of the line together in a cohesive and synergistic way. And just how do we measure? The measuring success and the ROI of a transformation effort. We have to be able to establish clear metrics and KPIs and benchmarks so we can track performance, we can evaluate the outcomes, and demonstrate the impact of digital transformation on business performance to keep the engagement and the support both financially and culturally in place there. So these are things that we can help with some of the things we're going to talk about here today. Ultimately, that piece about organization and information silos, it breeds nothing but increased costs, inefficiencies, and lack of alignment. And poor alignment and collaboration between participating functional areas can be fatal. Let alone the fact that I know of many transformation efforts that are still being managed on spreadsheets in different areas, and manual mashups of that data, if we can even do that, is very labor intensive and costly. Manual report creation from that mashup is hard. We end up potentially duplicating efforts, maybe doing similar things in different parts of the organization redundantly, or maybe even the duplication of data entry for the same thing. It's consuming consuming resources in a wasteful way, and it's prone to errors as we transcribe data into multiple places. And it's just difficult to remain accurate and current across the board. So the idea is we want to avoid this. We want to provide a single pane of glass if we can to all this and get everybody rowing in the same direction. Now, if we line strategy with execution, this is where strategic portfolio management practices can come into play to help the transformation program office. By sharing objectives of the business strategist, the one who had set the overall course, and those executing the change and making sure that they're on the same page is the first step in making that happen. And the Gartner Group says, aligning this in strategic portfolio management and strategic execution involves people, strategy, and operations. We got to get them all working together. And that it's the system of the development and planning of organizational alignment, operational plans that help execute on that, monitoring and learning, as we go and adapting based on the things that we find or the things that we face. And it's the basis for increase of value by executing that strategy well and delivering the value that we intend to. So strategic portfolio management, or SPM, as Gartner defines it, has a number of different capabilities. And as you look at here, it's more than just the strategy and the project. It's really about different software and features and capabilities that you need. the products that we need and the other digital and other assets in the organization, or even the business capabilities that we have to enhance or modernize. And leadership requires strategic portfolio management here to support that enterprise-wide strategy to execution, alignment, and adaptation, which is so important in digital transformation programs. Now, the definition of these strategies and the desired outcomes is going to factor in many more things than we did before. Now, they have always impacted, but sometimes we haven't had the clear visibility to see how they relate and what risks we have because of their progress or lack thereof. And things like business capabilities that need to be modified, digital and physical products that are required in order to execute this new digital strategy, applications that may no longer be valid or need to be modernized or need to be replaced, and the myriad of projects and the work streams that need to be accomplished in order to bring that all together. Now, we capture and define and prioritize the business strategies overall, right, of which the digital transformation is part of that. And then we have the execution of the initiatives and the programs and the projects that drive the achievement of those strategies. And then we have to have an eye or full visibility into the management of the core functional assets within the organization that we are dependent on for success. So all these different components of leadership, IT, and functional management, and the execution teams all have to be working in a cohesive fashion for this to be pulled off. Now, the shift towards SPM and organizational agility because of the rapid pace of change, just in recent surveys by the Gartner Group, only 16% of organizations are highly effective at all three attributes of strategic portfolio management, which is portfolio alignment, ongoing portfolio flexibility, and value-driven decision-making. That says we have a lot of room for growth as organizations, because if we can get better at those things, we have a higher chance of success. That fragmented approach that we talked about can lead to misaligned goals and all those things that we talked about, redundant processes and excessive costs. So basically, the other piece of this is if digital transformation is strategic, it is so common for resources and departments and organizations to get pulled away into the day-to-day operational needs and crises that happen, and that it unintentionally pulls them away from strategic objectives, which means we defer and push those things farther down the line or not give them the attention they deserve. We need a way to provide that focus and allocate that time as needed. Now, some projections or assumptions that are out there by the analysts like Gartner is that by 2025, 70% of digital investments will fail to deliver an expected business outcome due to the absence of strategic portfolio management approaches, meaning the things we're going to talk about today are needed. And that by 2024, we're here, 80% of digital businesses will integrate SPM and execution technologies to adopt new frameworks. And we are finding that many, many more customers are adopting at least portions of this. OnePlan provides a path to strategic portfolio management to help these digital transformation exercises. Business leaders have OKRs and value streams that they can leverage to set the course. The execution leaders have a variety of tools to execute with, whether they be using more adaptive approaches or agile approaches or professional services associated with that, or even product or application management. And then there's the functional leaders that own the assets that give us the ability to factor into our decision making and to our execution the enterprise architecture, business architecture, application portfolios, product portfolios of all those things that interrelate to what we want to do. And you don't have to bite all this off at once. Just getting started and having a roadmap to get where you want and mature in these areas is sufficient. And OnePlan provides you a vehicle for doing that and tackle the things you want now and add the things later on that you want, or to leverage the things that you want. For example, in OnePlan, that whole upfront part, the establishing of a strategy by your leadership or your program leadership on a strategy of what you want to accomplish, the OKRs, the enterprise architecture, the elements that are going to be fundamental to the success that we need to capture. And then the ideation and the requests that come in that should be spawned off of the strategy that you set and the enterprise architecture realities that you have and the infrastructure that you have, to be able to then select the right things to work in a portfolio. And that portfolio could be a program within the portfolio that the transformation program office is actually working with. And we can do more agile approaches and boards, and we can do more roadmap views of how we're going to deliver these things. And ultimately, it's going to come down to, as we said, resource capacity and resource capacity planning. Do we have the resources to do it in the first place? And do we have them focused on the right things to succeed? There's always the financial and budget aspects that has to be planned and tracked in that, as well as we talked about, adjusting quickly to changing conditions. Having a good, robust what-if scenario modeling capability is important to be able to evaluate alternatives while we're figuring out what to do next. Now, the execution piece, that comes into the practitioners who are going to execute in all these different functional areas within the program. To be able to have more waterfall work plans and agile plans, OnePlan provides that for you right within the tool itself. Though, if you are committed to, both from an investment in the planning data and all the other stuff and other tools, we do have connectors to the most common project planning and management tools that are out there today with our OneConnect technology within OnePlan. And we can even manage all those things like issues and risks and changes right within one place, so you're not fragmented and going to different places for those. The resource capacity planning, or the resource planning and the resource negotiation that happens within individual projects, that all feeds up to that overall resource capacity plan that we talked about earlier on. And even getting team members good access in a singular place to provide updates, no matter how many work streams they're on within the program, to be able to report progress and or time, if you need that, is available to you within the solution. And then obviously reporting, where would we be without that, right? Individual status reporting at program level and project level status reports. Dashboards for the overall portfolio or program, or down to the individual components of those. Visualizations and how all this stuff interrelates. How our projects and programs interrelate with strategies, enterprise architecture elements, et cetera. We'll show that to you today. Ultimately, it's about delivering and delivering value and delivering what we intend to deliver. And so, we added Sophia GPT, which is our purpose-driven artificial intelligence assistant, to help us get better at that. But ultimately, through the selection, we want to do the right things. And then through the execution pieces, we want to do it well and make sure that we do what we select in the best way possible. And this is true across all parts of the organization. Now, today we're focusing on innovation and transformation type of efforts, but those programs themselves tap all these other departments in one way or another, in most cases, where they have to bring these different entities together to sing from the same songbook and be able to deliver in a way that meets the need and achieves the strategy for digital transformation within the organization. So Sophia, our OnePlan assistant, is really something that's purpose-built for strategic portfolio management. It gives us AI-driven collaboration. It is based on Azure OpenAI security and compliance in the Microsoft Cloud, which provides the additional compliance in that you may not get with ChatGPT, for example. And it gives you intuitive interaction with prompt-based, language-based queries that you can make, and gives you good data interaction and analysis and things for data entry and information retrieval, and a variety of things that we're going to show you here today. And it's available as part of the core product of OnePlan. It's always available to you while you're in OnePlan, and you can ask it for assistance wherever you are in the solution. It not only leverages its general knowledge base from OpenAI, but it also leverages the learnings of strategic portfolio management of the OnePlan capabilities, and will actually factor in the data on your screen to get the analysis and the answers you're looking for in the context of what you are trying to achieve. So basically, it's available to you at any given point in time. And where we're at, where you see over here on the where it says now in the bottom, that's where we're at today. We're an AI-based assistant that basically allows us to do language prompts in there to have it do what we want. But we are already working on that next wave of the future, which is the more autonomous mode for SPM, where it can anticipate and do things for us even before we ask in the areas that we want it to do. So once again, it's exciting as far as where this can go for strategic portfolio management and the program management of transformation programs. So incorporate this. Does it change what we do with strategic portfolio management overall? Not really. What it does is it enhances and helps us do better things and do it more efficiently, and maybe free us up for more high value activities. For example, adapting the portfolio to market changes. It can help us streamline the portfolio intake and prioritization process and analysis of that. So we do have to build next generation talent like we talked about. So AI will help us find out where we need to do that, or help us train people on how to better leverage AI to become that next generation talent. And embracing disruptive technologies. I don't know if there's anything more disruptive right now than AI, but as we do digital transformation within our organizations, we will be incorporating into our organizations technologies that we've never had before, or responding to technologies that have been put upon us in the marketplace. And AI is going to help us to navigate through all that. Now, strategic portfolio management, sample use cases in AI, here's some that we support today. This is by no means exhaustive, but strategic planning, portfolio optimization, work management and scheduling, assessing risk, allocating resources and seeing what we need from a resource capacity perspective, and even analyzing the finances and investment forecasting. So for example, before I even get into the demo, let's take a look at how you might be planning out a digital transformation program in OnePlan. And based on just some limited information that we've put in there, and Sophia's knowledge of what a digital transformation program is, we can actually ask it a question in here. Like, let's say, can you create a business case for me? So we can ask from within here as we're building this, and we want some business case information. Give me a business case for a digital transformation program. And in this particular case, it will start providing me the components of a good business case, the executive summary of what a digital transformation is. It's actually leveraging data from the plan that we have in place itself, as far as the budget, the forecasted ROI, the dates that we're looking to accomplish these certain things, the background and the problem statement, etc. The idea here is it's giving us a quicker way to get this here, and by all means, with our own human interaction, we can augment what's here, but we're not starting from scratch when we build these things. There is the aspect of, we talked about, having reliable metrics and KPIs. Well, what if we asked it as we build this, what are some viable OKRs that we might want to put in place for a digital transformation program? In this particular case, we'll ask it that very question. And the objectives and key results, I've asked for 5 top ones. And here it's giving me an objective of enhance the digital experience for customers and employees, and it gives me key results within it about improving the website experience, achieving higher satisfaction rates, implement robotic process automation, etc., as some of the things that we'd want to do as far as OKRs. But once again, you can see kind of what that brings about. Now, if we bring in OnePlan Live here and we take a look at what it is, every user has a home page that brings the things that are important to them or the things that they're working on into their purview, as far as things like conversations, things that require their attention, and even easy access to the projects and things that they're part of. But let's just start with that strategic piece that we talked about earlier on. And in that strategic piece, in here we've modeled objectives and key results for the strategy execution, which we are later going to align with other things within the organization and within this solution we have here for strategic portfolio management. For example, let's just say we wanted to look at this, improve IT infrastructure would be the objective. And we can capture, and these are customizable forms, so you can capture the data you want around this as far as what that goal is, maybe the time frame that you want to get this done, maybe the prioritization of those types of things, whatever method you have, and then the association with the 3 key results we have here that are associated with that. Now, just to kind of get into it right away, if we look to visualize how this particular objective fits in, it is a precursor to another objective that we have within there from a predecessor-successor relationship. But if we look broadly into what we call the runway, I can see that this objective is not only aligned with 3 key results, right? But I can see those key results in turn are aligned with individual projects and epics, which are aligned with also with different products that we have to get involved into the mix or consider, as well as applications, business capabilities, and in this case, value streams that we've identified. So once again, this is an example of how you can get all those different components we talked about in strategic portfolio management assessed into the mix. Now let's say, for example, I see here we have a key result that's red. Right here from this very graphical screen, I can either drill into it or just pop open what we call a quick edit to understand the off-track nature of it and where it's at and what we have as far as the metrics in here to better understand where that is at any given point in time as we go through that. And the idea here is that it all starts with the strategies, and these strategies then should spawn off ideas, requests, and projects and efforts and initiatives that are all designed to support the achievement of these strategies and align this within the organization where we're all aware of what those objectives are. Now, when we talk about ideas and requests, OnePlan has its area in here for ideas and requests and ideation and innovation. For example, here, anybody in the organization can come in and submit ideas and requests if you like to open it up to that so that people can get those in here. And if I opened up one in particular, like this website redesign, if I come in here, you can decide what data you'd like to capture around these. Have an approval process cycle, data and elements and how you want to categorize them, maybe business cases that get carried forward should you approve this, financial aspects and benefits, the prioritization of these with different prioritization mechanisms that allow you to get those in place and be able to have those factored in as we decide what we want to work on. Once again, on that visualization side of things, we could look at this website redesign and see that I have no predecessors or successors, but I can see that this website redesign is tied back and is a component of achieving this increased brand awareness and the key result within it, and also indirectly has a association with a product that we have to deal with as we go through that. So, once again, we have that visibility at all given times, and we can also see from here, should we decide through either workflow or somebody with the authority to do so, we can promote these ideas or requests as we have into projects or epics or different initiatives that we want, and carry forth with it all the information that happened through this whole process. So we get an end-to-end process as we go on through. Now, if I also look at here, you can democratize this as well. So for example, I could go into, say, an all ideas view, and you can put in a voting process, not just an approval process. Maybe you can get the idea of sentiment on here about how popular ideas are with the different constituencies that are in here with all that. And as you go through that, we can get through that. And this is a good place for me to kind of maybe show you something live from Sophia. Let's just say I go to a prioritization view where we got all the prioritization data in here for the different ideas and requests on here. And I decide to ask Sophia a question, and I say, based on priority and ROI, there we go. Based on priority and ROI, what 3 projects should we approve first and why? Out of all the mix of things that we're looking at, what should we consider selecting ahead of all the others? And just help us, give its assessment there to augment our own perceptions of what that should be. And when it's done thinking, it should give us some responses. So it's saying the cybersecurity audit based on this high priority project, and it's crucial for risk reduction, ensuring the overall security of the organization. Voice integration assistant and the rationale behind that and why. So once again, live use of this right within the solution. Now, ultimately, the things that we select in here are going to become projects. And we would manage our portfolios in a way that makes sense. You can structure a project portfolio in the way that makes most sense to you. For example, if I come into the project portfolio here, and we can structure this any way we like. So for example, as I come through here and I look at the fact that we have what we call plan types, that we have portfolios and programs, of which the digital transformation program could be one of them, and then projects and epics, and even down to a feature level within here should you decide to structure. But this structure or primary structure is completely up to you. So for example, here on this data analytics transformation, I've got an enterprise data platform program that's within here that has different projects and epics within here. And the idea here is that you can structure this however you see fit. Also notice that there's icons over here on the left-hand side, which we could be maybe doing the detailed planning data from Microsoft Planner or Azure DevOps or from Smartsheet or Jira or Microsoft Project for the Web or their Microsoft Project Professional, where you can see that there's only a Teams icon on some of these, which tells me that we're managing the details in here, the schedules right here within OnePlan's tools, but we're leveraging Teams for maybe additional content and collaboration capabilities as we go on through there. If I go through and look at this and have a variety of views, you can have views in here that are more financial oriented, etc. But we also have the ability to come in here and look at this in a variety of different ways. So for example, even though I have that primary hierarchy, I could come into, say, a complete summary view here. And in that summary view, I can leverage whatever categorizations or data or metadata I have and look at it in a variety of different ways. Let's say, for example, I wanted this summarized or filtered by business unit, what's going on in capital planning, for example. Or if I looked at, basically what's being worked on by which managers, I could go basically there and say, let me look at this portfolio by manager and understand what Bertram's all involved in and how his projects are doing. I could look at this if I categorize my projects in different ways. In this case, I'm looking at, business transformation and all those different things that are in here and where those different things are. I can go through this in a very flexible way as I go through. And as I go through the board process, if I'm a more agile shop and I want to do things like program increment planning to kind of decide and prioritize these things, I can work with these things on different boards and decide what my columns, what my swim lanes are. And right from in here, I can drag things in and out of different states or different statuses, or I can get the details that aren't on the card at any given point in time here and understand maybe why something is out of off track. For example, like in this case, on this market research, I can see that it's because the schedule's off track, that the thing is off track in general. And we also have roadmap views. So these roadmap views for more of those delivery types of focuses, we can look at these things and once again use the metadata, whether by category or manager or business unit or whatever, and have different events in here that we can use as markers to see how we're going to drive and meet these things across different events as far as, and this roadmap is created dynamically without you having to manually create it each time. Now, if I go back to the list views and I go into a portfolio summary view, and I just kind of expose all the data that's in here regarding all the programs, I could ask this right in the middle of my project portfolio or subset of that. And I could say, just from an analysis perspective, and this is an example, and I could focus on this just to the data within my program or my transformation program. Which 3 projects are at the highest risk of failure and why? And it's going to analyze all the data that we have in here and basically gives us assessment of what things might be at risk and why. So it says, that red one, the market research project, is off track for both state and schedule. It's not progressing according to plan. It also has a very high budget, and it's only 49% done, and it should be more done by now. And then there's the brand management, there's the IT professional, IT project. So the idea is it's giving us this assessment on those things that we can consider into our decision-making process. Now, if we drill into any one of these, let's just say I drill into this data warehouse migration project. All the things we track about a project are all here. I've got the details page that captures all the summary information about this and the metadata and the way we want to categorize it. I've got work plans in here that allow me to plan schedules within here, track key decisions. We have things what we call work types in here. So for example, the schedule work type is giving me an overall waterfall schedule in here for this particular one. I might have a backlog that basically has an agile component to this, that I'm managing all the user stories and requirements and tasks and things like that that are in here. And then we can also track things like issues, risk, changes, and even track key decisions within here. We also have the resource capacity component in here that allows us on this individual project determine what resources we need, plan them in hours, FTEs, percentages of allocations, whatever it might be, and have this feed up into an overall resource capacity plan or even feed into financials from a labor perspective, and then even capture non-labor things in here as we go through as well. So once again, those financial components are all in here as we go through here. And at any given point in time for this project, we can visualize from a project-centric way all the things that this project is aligned with. Now, the other key piece here is this global resource plan as we look at resource capacity. So as we're managing our individual programs and our transformations, as we look at the individual resource requirements and capacity that we have for individual projects in relation to capacity, I can come in here and take a look at individual resources and see things like, I've still got generic developer hours associated here with some things. I haven't put a name to this. So if I was going to say, want to find a resource to put on this particular customer experience redesign that might be part of my transformation program, I could actually look for candidates and find good matches for those that basically determine who might have capacity within that time frame. And as I look here, it looks like Toby Stevens starts having some green out here in that time frame where I look at, and I could select Toby if I wanted to and replace that generic with a named individual, or I could relieve an over allocated person on the up above part as I go through here. The idea here is that, you know, we can look at this by individual resources, see how it aggregates up by things like role, like overall developers and the named individual developers that are contributing to those types of things, and see how this thing rolls up into things like, you know, full-time equivalents that are required to do all this. And I can see where I'm over and under allocated at any given point in time. Now, you know, you could come in here and once again, have Sophia give you some assessment on some things. For example, I could come in and say, you know, what resources do I need to hire? You know, where am I short? I saw a lot of red up there, right? I could potentially go in and say to Sophia, what resources do I need to hire? And as it goes through that analysis, you know, not only will it answer this question about what I need to hire, I could even further ask it, you know, how many of each might I need? It may be a different answer that I might come up with from my human perception based upon what I saw. It seems I need to hire developers, and it seems that it's given me some very detailed things based upon what it sees in there. And it only shows the number that are available for me in that particular month. But if I followed on with this and I said, how many of each resource, I could follow on and ask it that question and have it quantify that for me as well. So in the interest of time, I think I won't go into detail on that one, but I just want to expose you to the types of things that we could do here. Now, the enterprise architecture piece, when we looked at the visualizations of how these things are related to other things, where did those come from? Well, we can actually have different portfolios, and here I'm showing multiple portfolios in one place. In this case, these plan types of enterprise architecture elements like products, business capabilities, applications, value streams, and even parts of the organization can be all parts of our enterprise architecture component. For example, if I go and drill into the application of a CRM system, for example, I can come in here and see the data on this CRM system and basically see what I want to capture. There's a life cycle, there's the metadata to categorize, there's a canvas with things like application vision and description and where we want to go with this. And then there's even things like work plan schedules that might have the release schedule in it, or the financials around total cost of ownership, et cetera. The idea is we can capture all that at any given point in time. You know, we could even come in here and, like you say, from this perspective, say, if I visualize this customer relationship management, I can see that there are dependencies that we have here, as well as I go in here, I can also see that the CRM system is driving, is associated with some key results and objectives, as well as has impacts on projects and business capabilities in here as well. So once again, that enterprise architecture, whether it be products or other things like that, we have those things and how they relate as well. Now, the last thing I'll cover functional wise is the what if scenario modeling. And that what if scenario modeling gives us the ability to select models, and we can create new models as we go through. We can create folders for different parts of the organization. So for example, you could create a folder for your transformation program. And the idea here is what you can do is you can select active and potential projects and or ideas, get it into the mix and say, I'm contemplating doing 42 things, of which some of them are already active in here. But then I can put constraints on this. Let's say I have real life resource constraints and things like that. So for example, I could come in and say, what's the resource implication of doing all these? And once again, I'm doing this in a what if scenario, and I can see I've got quite a bit of red in here, meaning that it's probably unlikely that I'm going to be able to get the resourcing that I need to do all this right now, given what I have in the mix. Same thing with financials. Do I have the financial wherewithal to do all the things that are in here? And I can look in total financials or by period, whether or not I'm over and under allocated in financials in these types of things. Now, what I can do is through selection, deselection, or time phasing of these, I can determine, what if I only had a $10 million budget? By selection and deselection, I can come down and get the answers in here of what I can do. Well, what would be in versus what I would have to in order to hit that $10 million budget. As I look at this and I come at the dollars around this, I can basically see that I had to select, deselect, and time phase these things such that when I got to it, that I got down to a $10 million budget or within a $10 million budget, at least within 10 million within the fiscal year as I went through this. Now, if I was going to look at doing it with a $15 million budget, I could run the same scenario as well. But in the interest of time here, I'm going to just go through and say, as we do multiple scenarios, we can analyze them and compare them with one another. The target budget of 10 versus $15 million. What I see out of here is that for another $5 million, I can do 10 more projects, and that I can also, for another $5 million, project and achieve more, $20 million more in benefit to the organization for another $5 million in spend. It might tell me it's worth my while to go find that funding. And then I can do other things in here, look like a bubble chart like you're used to seeing, where you can see what's in and what's out based on prioritization score and benefits or whatever other things that you'd like to show on there, as well as being able to use our visualizer in another way. In this case, the visualizer in the what if scenario is going to say, out of the things I selected, what's dependent on it, or what are we dependent on that maybe hasn't been selected, to factor into our decision to see if we've overlooked something. So once again, a lot of things that we can look at in that regard. So with that, let me go back to the slides, and let me just say, there's all kinds of scenarios we can use Sophia for in AI. We talked about some of the strategic planning ones, like to analyze data in our strategic plan, to work management, where I can go in and actually have it create a plan for us. In this particular case, this is kind of cool, where I could go in here and on the digital transformation program, I could say, create a plan for me based on very limited information. And it's we have a templating capability where we can actually ask the AI to create a template for us. In this case, I'm going to ask it to provide a WBS for a transformation program. And in this case, it's done it. But not only has it given me one, it's going to let me to keep it and make it the plan for this particular program. So as I go through here, not only was I going to do that, it's going to adopt it. It's going to help me map the resources that I have to that accordingly. And then it'll insert that template into the program within OnePlan. And now I have a program plan, that at least a start of it from a template that I can then modify from here based upon the structure that was put in place. So once again, these are the kind of things that can help my program. We can also optimize our portfolio by asking it questions, by analyzing the data. We can actually help it optimize based on budgets and things. We can help it identify risks and then how to mitigate them and ask for questions on that. We can do resource capacity planning, actually help it have us build resource plans for us. And we can also look at the financial aspects of that, help it analyze those. So just some things to consider as far as use cases that we can leverage. Even just communications, write a project summary email to my manager, or write me a status report narrative that I can put in place, that I can at least get a starting point on, that I can refine and add my own kind of words and tweaks to it, saving me a bunch of time and effort. So with that, let's summarize and talk about some potential next steps. Digital transformation offices have their own unique challenges for success within an organization. Better collaboration and alignment across functional areas with strategic and business architecture is needed for successful outcomes. There's a lot of things to factor in. It's a complex puzzle that we have to solve. And strategic portfolio management disciplines and solution has become important in today's business environment because we have increased complexity, a fast pace of change that requires new methods and approaches. And OnePlan provides that end-to-end strategic portfolio management solution in the Microsoft Cloud, and it will meet you where you're at. You do not have to take on all the dimensions of what I showed you here today to move the ball forward and advance your capabilities and get better and higher success rates. You can roadmap the things that you want, but implement the things that you feel that you can sustain now. And the use of AI provides valuable assistance, and Sophia is purpose-driven and purpose-built for this particular discipline. Now, OnePlan does this because we're passionate about portfolio management. We're recognized as a market leader by Microsoft. We've been their Project and Portfolio Management Global Partner of the Year multiple times. The Gartner Group has recognized us in their Voice of the Customer for Strategic Portfolio Management, Infotech Research, software reviews, etc. This is what we do. We're not a general software house or software systems integrator. We do this for a living. And we give webinars on these topics all the time. The next one that we have here will be on maximizing efficiency and profitability with professional services automation within OnePlan. And we also do what we call Tech Tuesdays that get into specific functional areas of OnePlan. And on April 25th, we're going to be doing some of that as well. You can get free trials. You can go to oneplan.ai/solutions. And there's a template for full strategic portfolio management that I would encourage you to do to explore all these things. Now, you can also find it up on Microsoft's AppSource at appsource.com. And we're happy to chaperone you through this and help you get the most value out of your trial if you would like to engage with us. So free trial, please engage with us. We can help you maximize your value on that. We're happy to help you. Well, we could do a roadmap workshop if you'd like to kind of assess where you're at and understand what it would take to get into a solution like this and give you some preliminary information on that front. And I gave you a very quick demo. If you'd like to see more, something more tailored to what your use cases are, we're happy to schedule a one-on-one demo with you. For any of those things, just reach out to us at contact@oneplan.ai. And then www.oneplan.ai is a great place for you to dig in, drill in, and do some more research on us if that's where you're at and not ready to do the other things that I've suggested. So with that, thank you for taking time out of your valuable day today. We want to thank you. You know, we bring all these things together, as I hope you saw today, into a hub and a single pane of glass. And we call that the power of one. It's a complex world, and bringing those things and boiling them down into a single view in a complex pane of glass that brings it and simplifies it for you is something that we feel is very helpful for organizations. Reach out to us. You'll be getting a copy of these slides. Have a great day.